Hi, everyone. This is Raquel.
Hi, and this is Jennifer.
Welcome to Madness Cafe.
This is a feminist podcast where we talk about women's issues, politics, and health and wellness.
And where those issues intersect. Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Madness Cafe. Today, Jennifer and I are going to talk about women of color business owners. In fact, Black women entrepreneurs stand among the fastest growing group of women-owned businesses. In fact, there are more than 1.5 million businesses owned by Black women. And according to the 2016 State of Women-Owned Businesses report, 8 out of every 10 businesses started since 2007 were launched by women of color.
Awesome. Yay!
Yay! And so in that vein, we have two very lovely women on with us today, two lovely entrepreneurs who are going to tell us about their businesses and their experiences being women of color entrepreneurs. And we're just gonna get the scoop from them. So first we have Jessica Norwood, who is the former chef and co-owner of Cafe in Ferndale, Michigan, and Naquitah Herbert, who is what she calls a designer realtor, which is interior designer plus realtor. So ladies, thank you so much for being on Madness Cafe. And Jessica, why don't we start with you? Why don't you tell us more about yourself, your business, your journey as an entrepreneur, just the scoop.
She's frozen.
Darn. Okay. All right. Well, while we wait for Jess to come back, Naquitah, why don't you grace us with the story of your business? Tell us about being a designer realtor and tell us more about your business called LYVDN Design.
Okay, well, about my business, ultimately, I officially opened my doors. I'm going to say officially because we've been operating well before then. We didn't make it official in the books and in the legal description until about 3 years ago. I got started really in interior design when I was 9. Sooner than that, I've been rearranging my room, my sister's room, my brother's room, everyone's room gets to refresh from me since I was a kid. I will say that it got really, I guess, I didn't realize that this was a thing for me until I was in high school. In high school, I went to boarding school at Episcopal High School. You know, you sleep there. It's kind of like college, but with high school kids, right? My freshman year, when I realized that I was, getting in and I was excited, I'm, going off to a new school. My mom and I decided to, we worked together to design my room. At the time, it was like lavender with like a zebra print. As you can see, I'm still obsessed with zebra print. Really, all the animal prints. All of them, every last one. And so that ultimately was my room. When the day of, that was time for move-in, my mom and I, kind of set everything up. It was really nice. It was great. I was rooming with another young lady whose last name was Burke, and her family owned a bank called Burke and Herbert. Isn't that funny?
Oh,
it's so funny. It's just like, look at that. She got there. She was so excited. She had so much like Burke and Herbert paraphernalia she would like for us to decorate our room with. But by the time she got in there, my whole side was like a look. And she's just like, so who did this? Who are you? What do you This is not a regular kid's room.
Who do you have in your back pocket? Who's doing this?
Right. So I was like, well, I did. I mean, my mom helped, but really I was kind of the brains of the operation, kind of picking out what I liked. And then from there, every single year after, I always had a new room set up because, new year, new room, new energy. And it wasn't until I want to say in my freshman year, a ton of the kids would come to my room. Oh my God, it's awesome in here. So at the end of my freshman year, going into the summer of my sophomore year, I started getting phone calls from like students at at my boarding school, some of their parents, and they're like, so we hear you're the gal with the fab room. I don't know if you do other people's room, but we would love to get you to do rooms for some of our kids. I spoke to my mom about it and she's like, oh, okay. So I remember needing to come to school at least like a month early or something like that, so that I could not only set up my own room, but my sophomore year, I had about 15 different rooms to design.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. And so up until move-in day, I was like installing rooms. It was crazy.
At that time, did you get paid for it?
I did. It was
Awesome.
nowhere near what I was getting paid now.
Okay.
Obviously,
Fair enough.
I didn't know
Fair
my
enough.
value at that time, right? You know.
Right.
And then junior year, I had gone off to, I lived in France for a little while. So I didn't do any designing then other than my room with my host family in France. But my senior year now, the girls back on campus. And so word got out. So senior year, I came again about a month early. I had a friend who was in college at one of the local colleges over there. I went to school in Alexandria, Virginia, by the way. So he came to come and help me do some of my installs because that year I had almost 30. And
Oh, wow.
so, yeah. Oh, yeah. It was,
Wow.
it was the whole thing. But, you know, it wasn't even then, it just never occurred to me that I needed to be doing this like as an actual career.
Mhm.
So I went to college. I joined Teach for America. I was teaching for like 6+ years. I was in education after I had left the education field because I just felt like it was fun. I had a good time. You know, I taught kindergarten and third grade and all these fun grades and things like that. But I just wasn't feeling as fulfilled as I felt like I could be. And so I still didn't realize that I needed to be doing this full time. Meanwhile, as a teacher, I was side hustling, designing spaces for friends and coworkers and things of that nature. It wasn't until there was a time period in between like leaving the school system and then going full time where I didn't really know what I was doing with myself. I was just like, you know, I'm just kind of out here. I had just moved to Atlanta. And I had just got a little gig at Pure One or something like that so that I could just have something to do while I was trying to figure it out. The Buckhead ladies is what I like to call them would come into our Pure One store right in the Pure One at Buckhead. And, you know, they would be coming to like redesign their like dining table or something. And so I'm really good at selling stuff. Not only would they have a full like dining table set up, I would also encourage them to like, I don't know, redo their coffee tables, pillow setups. One day, one of my coworkers was like, girl, this is your thing. Like, this is your thing. I can't tell you when you're not here, even when you are here, we get at least 10 customers who come in looking for you specifically because they have heard from their friends that you help them do this and that. And so they're also looking for the hookup. So she's like, girl, I don't know what you need to do, but you need to make this your thing. Like, this is it. This is it. Don't do anything else. That's right here. I'm like, okay. So one day I was at work, really bored, and the name came to me. It was just LYVDN Design. That's typically how I like to design. I like my homes to be super elegant, but really lived in, comfortable, reflect the personality and the people that live there. It's been 3 years officially now, and we're here. It's been a fun ride.
What was the process like when they were like, this is your thing, you should do it? How did you go from that to then launching a business? I imagine that's a huge leap.
Right. In my mind, this is why I was in that transitional stage. I've always been pretty entrepreneurial. I've been side hustling probably since I was 9 as well.
Apparently, yes.
You know,
with all of the rooms that you have done at your boarding school.
Right. I've always been doing something, babysitting, doing hair, something. I knew I was going to be getting into some sort of business, and I'm a multi-talented individual. And so it was a little difficult at first to settle down on what it is, because really anything I put my hands on, I kid you not, turns to gold. I'm just really good at it. And so I was like, well, what do I actually want to do every single day that even if I weren't getting paid for, if I'm going to be doing this for free, what would I do? And so again, I have many talents, but most of those I would expect to be paid. I mean, I expect to be paid.
Of course.
Interior design is, and like everything home is really the only thing I would entertain doing for free if I didn't need money, of course. So
Awesome.
getting from there to start my business was, it was just a matter of deciding what it is that I wanted to do, and then going on the internet to figure out like, how would I make this a thing? When I first started, it was a little challenging simply because, you got to build confidence out here, especially as a Black business owner and one who didn't necessarily go to interior design school. It's one of those things where I didn't have the confidence. I mean, I would design beautiful rooms. I would also undervalue and charge for charge too little for my services because of that concern of not having a design degrry.
Yeah, I think we as women do that a lot.
Yeah.
In
For sure.
Lots of areas of our life. Yeah.
Yeah. I entertained going back to school for it, but I had a dream one night and God was like, I gave you that talent as a gift. What makes you think that you need man's approval of school? And I was like, oh, okay.
Yes.
Okay,
That's what I want to hear.
Right.
So yeah, I just kind of went. I got registered with the state. Most of the things that I learned through interior design is either self-taught or through books. Listen to a lot of podcasts. I watch a lot of videos. So it's really just trial and error out here. But
yay for podcasts.
Doing well. Yeah.
Nice plug, Raquel. Let's cut to Jess for a second and hear about, how did you decide to start your business?
So I guess for me, it's a much different story. That your story is just so impressive. I'm like, oh my gosh, I hope mine lives up to that. The Om actually was already a business. It started in 1985. I had been eating there all my life, mostly with my mother. It was a vegetarian restaurant at the time. So I'd been going there ever since I was a little girl. And it was kind of just always this place that was really fantastical to me, really amazing, great food. The atmosphere was just so great. And then eventually on throughout the years, probably in my early 20s or so, I actually started waitressing there. Through waitressing, it eventually just kind of blossomed and one thing led to another. It came about that the original owners were looking to kind of expand on their own thing and open up a business partner who was really just a guy who honestly just had money and ate at the restaurant every day and saw my commitment to it, who was willing to kind of take me on as a business partner with no financial backing of my own. So we formed that partnership and eventually bought the business. And then that just kind of started the long journey.
So how did you become a chef? Like, are you self-taught? Did you go to school? Did you learn on the job? As somebody who's very interested in food, I would love to hear your story about that.
Yeah, I'm completely self-taught. I have no classical training whatsoever. And I think, just as our, lovely guest has also said, that also presents a whirlwind of challenges and just kind of creating a certain respect within the community for not having gotten that education. But, a lot of people, we would have interns and stuff even come from schools to kind of help us out.
So Jess is kind of going in and out again. Let's go back to that discussion about confidence, because when she jumps back in, we can talk about it for both of you. She brought up a really good point. She was also self-taught. What does it take to teach yourself? That's amazing. How many hours a week do you spend doing this? Teaching yourself?
A lot. Thomas Edison, I believe it was Thomas Edison, said that he put about 10,000 hours or some crazy number. I'm really obsessed with homes and interior design. Honestly, when people are like, what are your hobbies? I'm like, home. What do you mean?
What do you like? Home. Where are you?
Home. Like everything home. I'm down to like cooking, cleaning, designing things, how to fix stuff, how to hang things. Like, I mean, it's sometimes I'm sitting in like, shh, don't tell Corey or anything. Sometimes I'll be in our real estate classes and I may or may not check out for about 5 minutes to go on the internet, looking up some sort of thing that I'm looking to do either in my home or a client's home. I literally spend most of my day enthralled in videos, books, audiobooks, podcasts, just internet articles, really learning more as much as I can. And it's really it doesn't feel like learning or school. For me, this is literally like playing all day. It's like a kid in a candy store kind of thing.
Is that how your confidence grew?
Okay. If you know me, the girl likes to use colloquialisms. So like, I'm to be honest, I just had to wake up one day and realize I was a bad John, So like, I just listen. I was like, you know what? this like mental state and mindset is really beneath me. I'm really a bad John out here. So I need to just start operating in this bad John life, and there's some days where I'm having a struggle to believe it. There's a meme, or not even a meme. Rihanna had a conversation about like, what does she do when she's just having a day when she just doesn't feel like her best self? And she's like, I pretend. Yeah, I feel her on that, because same thing, like on the days where I'm just not feeling it, I don't feel like my best self, I don't feel like I've put my best foot forward, even in my work. I just have to quickly remind myself, as a man thinketh, so is he, or in this case, as a woman thinketh, so is she. And that's just going to be that.
How about you, Jess? How did you build your confidence having not been classically trained?
Same as everything Naquitah said, pretty much just everything, seeing what everyone was doing within the time span, what's popular right now, what's trending, what are people into, what is the aspiration right now, what is, Anthony Bourdain's popular and why, or this local restaurant is popular and why, and what can I do that maybe is similar to that, but different in my own way, that represents truth in my own culture, and as a woman and as a biracial woman and all of that, and to just the area that I live in. So still being authentic, but still having really big aspirations, pretty much, and kind of just, I'm sure, in the design world as well, in the culinary world, because it'll break you. If you can't hang on and white knuckle it, you're gonna fall. So
what gets you through those white knuckle moments? Like what's the driver for y'all? What do you do when you have lulls in your business, or your confidence takes a hit, or just what do you do? What pulls you back up? What keeps you in the game?
Well, for me, it's not about me. In the design world, it's very much a European, non-colored realm. Now, there are lots of Black, Hispanic, and non-white designers, but I try to really remind myself that this is not about me. This is for another little Naquitah out there who that's with home, and it's very important for her to see that she can be herself and she can go out here and do exactly what she wants to do. So that's really what gets me out of bed in the morning. I mean, aside from like knowing that I'm here to like help my clients heal and really create a space for them to belong, it's really understanding that I have a job. God sent me here to do a job. I need to leave behind a legacy. I need to pave the way. I'm very much a seed planter. And before Harriet Tubman passed, she said that she's leaving so that she could prepare a place. And so I feel like that's what I'm doing. I'm preparing a place. I'm preparing a path for other women who look like me, other young girls who look like me, to be able to just walk comfortably with their heads held high.
Jess, what about you?
Well, for our listeners, Jess is having some issue with internet. My guess is for the rest of this episode, she'll be going in and out, and we'll do the best that we can, and we'll just keep asking our questions. I have a question. I was reading an article about the challenges, or maybe challenges isn't the right word, but things that are unique to women of color who are entrepreneurs. And you already named one of them, which is lack of representation. You said you're here to represent, really, and let other little girls see how powerful you can be. Another one that was mentioned was biases in the world. Do you come across that when you're working with clients, or is that something that just doesn't occur in your world?
Of course. I mean, being a Black woman in America, being a Black woman anywhere in this world, you are going to experience biases. I've even had some interesting questions or opinions said to me. Usually what I do when these things occur is, well, first of all, we take a moment and breathe in Jesus, because
okay.
Because sometimes these comments and questions are so beyond, and I'm going to say ignorant, because I would rather believe that it's coming from a place of truly not understanding or not knowing, rather than malice. And so this is why I breathe in Jesus first, so I can just, whew, and then answer as professionally, as educated as possible, so that I am able to explain why what was said was either inappropriate or it may be in a bias that is not true for Black people or women for that matter.
So you stop and set people straight?
I do. You need to
Nice.
address that head on. I get to continue to walk around in life this ignorant. No.
I love that. Do you have certain responses you use, or does it just depend on the situation?
It really depends on the situation, because again, I try to remember that every individual is unique. The way one person needs to be addressed and handled is going to be different than another. And it really is going to depend on, a multitude of things. And so I also am very much a woman of discernment. So I can feel when this, again, if this is a situation of malice or if it's really out of curiosity or ignorance, either any of those situations occur, I'm always typically going to respond professionally and as informed as possible, while still setting the record straight, because as I said before, I'm not going to allow you to continue to walk around life with that level of ignorance.
Love it so much. Jess, do you run into biases or unconscious biases in your restaurant when you're running it?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, even just being a woman.
The next one was network. Did you find in business you have a lot of networking challenges? I mean, that's a tough one now that we're in COVID. I think everybody's having networking challenges.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yes and no. Typically, I have as you can see, I've got a very unique personality. I find that when meeting people, they're either like, yes, this is an awesome individual. Or some people are like, wait a minute now, this might be a little much for me. Hold on. I am able to discern whether I'm making someone uncomfortable, because I'm not going to dim my light. I'm going to continue to just be me and razzle dazzle on y'all out here.
I love that.
I gotta be me. So
of course,
the people who I am, having a great, vibe and conversation with, we typically like really work well. And then for some people where they might feel a little awkward around me, or I might be a little much, I'm not going to dim myself down, but I might reel it in just a hair, so that I'm able to either learn as much information about them and also be able to express who I am. But I also, I know when to bow out of that conversation. That way I'm not uncomfortable. They're not uncomfortable, because as I said, the girl is just going to be herself, because I told y'all I'm a bad John. So if y'all don't like it, that's on you.
I do not know what a bad John means. Am I missing something here?
I think maybe she's trying not to say bad bitch.
Oh, you can say bad bitch on the show?
Yeah, you totally swear.
Wait, it's very much up north Philly slang.
Got it.
One of those words that is very much, it's interchangeable.
Okay.
But essentially, yeah, I mean, you can sure, it's similar to like a bad bitch, but I'm a queen, so I don't utilize that word for myself. And so anything outside of queen will be Naquitah or John.
Gotcha. Got it. So
I'm just admitting to my ignorance there, because I had
no
idea.
worries.
I didn't either. I thought I knew, but apparently I did not know. So
no worries.
We all learned something today. Now, Naquitah, you talk a lot about, and Jess, you mentioned this too, about being a representation for other girls growing up who are seeing finally representations of themselves out there, right? Doing the thing, being a designer, being a chef, being a restaurant owner, doing all the things.
Mm-hmm.
Who do y'all look to
being
for
the
mentorship?
boss.
Yeah, being the boss, right? Owning the business and standing in your power and doing what you love and doing it in a powerful way. Who do y'all look to for mentors?
Well, as for me, we are still actively looking for a consistent mentor, at least for interior design. So right now, most of the people I will look up to are other interior designers, typically other interior designers of color. simply because my designs have a different level of sauce. And so I need to see other designers who also do what I do, because they provide inspiration for me. I do have a great group of design friends that I call on. And so we kind of just share, you know, professional knowledge with each other and just kind of check in. So we have mental health checks, you know, and if I have questions, I typically will seek Google or one of my design friends. But as far as like an actual like interior design coach, that is something I am still on the search for, because every successful person has a coach. You know, we need accountability, we need encouragement, etc.
I think it's really interesting you said that you have that sauce, because my daughter is an artist. She does clothing, and in our little town that we grew up in, she was actually afraid to wear her designs to school for a while because she thought they might be accepted like in New York City, but not in our little town. And she felt, I guess she let her light be dimmed in a way. Have you ever felt that way about your art?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm very eclectic, very colorful, very bold, very unique. And so I have definitely had, just really throughout my life, I have definitely done a lot of light dimming, because I did not always feel comfortable to be myself. Again, this is probably a topic for a whole nother podcast, but
yeah,
I'm a Black woman, and I'm not just any Black woman. I am a dark-skinned Black woman. And so within the Black community, I have experienced, especially as a younger child, lots of colorism and other things that made me personally shrink very much so. I spent a lot of my life feeling unworthy or even incapable. Meanwhile, I'm clearly expressing, I mean, my mom has a whole closet full of like all of my awards as a kid, but it wouldn't have mattered how many awards I got, because I didn't feel special. I didn't feel like accomplished. I didn't feel successful. I just felt ugly and untalented, probably up until, wow,
oh my God, you're so beautiful.
20s. Oh,
I can't even believe that.
thank you.
Jess, did you have similar?
Thank you.
Yes. Can you guys hear me okay?
Yes, we can.
First off, I'm kind of shook at how similar our stories are between Naquitah, just because I didn't expect it from being such different career paths, but it's very much along the same veins. And oh my gosh, I already forgot the question. What was the question?
The question is, like, growing up with this artistic talent, and I understand yours is a little bit more in food, especially vegan food. Did you feel like sometimes you had to dim your light to fit in within that genre?
Okay. In my preparation for this podcast, I even kind of it eventually went down the colorism road for me as well, but kind of a different perspective, because I'm more white passing, especially in a kitchen in the food industry. My hair is covered, and my hair is usually my tell for being some sort of mixed race. So for me, it's kind of the opposite side of the coin. On one hand, this is a thick conversation. So,
right. And we're here for it.
Yeah. We're here for it.
So, being Ferndale and all of that, the majority is white, as most of the world is. There was always a fear of being accepted because of, my skin tone, having the more olive tone, having the hair, my father coming in and being a darker skinned Black man, and then people kind of being shell shocked and things like that. And there's, you never then want to follow it. What if my dad comes in acting loud or this or that? You are embracing this stereotype, or you are reinforcing this, or there's just so many variables. And, for me, being biracial, there was a need to always prove my existence. So first, to have to prove to the Black community that I am one of you, but on the same time, from the colorism perspective, I don't walk that same path. So there is still a difference. And I think that also has to be recognized as well, because I do have a certain amount of privilege just because I am fair skinned. But then to the, I'll just say white community, especially since I would be white passing or have my hair covered, there was a need to prove that I am different. And it wasn't in a sense to say that anyone is less than, but to me, being biracial makes me feel special. It makes me feel chosen. It makes me feel loved and embraced. And having so many different perspectives of going to family reunions and seeing so many different types of people and just being shocked that other people, you question them because of what they look like, or that's what my auntie looks like. That's what my other auntie looks like, and just things like that. So I think it depends on the situation, having to dim your light down because I don't want to have my hair froed out or wearing a headscarf or things like that and be, oh, she's black and she's loud and she's this and she's cooking collard greens and mac and cheese. You're in that box. Or, oh, she's embracing her white heritage because she's doing, I don't know, X, Y, and Z. So it's always a catch-22, and kind of as Naquitah talked about, giving children something to aspire to. For me, it was, you got the Mariah Careys of the world, but she's seen as black, let's just say, or the Halle Berrys, she's seen as black. Obama, they're seen as black, but these are all mixed race people. So on one hand, it's, well, is that what am I in that sense? If these mixed race people are kind of being taken for their skin tone, am I white? Am I negating an entire half of my family? It's such a hard topic, and it's such a mixed bag because there is so much respect and so much love from both sides, but there is such a need, I think, as a mixed person who's a little bit more racially ambiguous to just kind of prove your worth, because you even get asked as a little child, what are you, and to say that to a child who has no concept of racism at all, what are you, not even where are you from or anything like that. It's very challenging, and it's a big identity crisis in a sense. And there's a big weight to, I think, like when, let's say, a white man gets interviewed as a chef, he's just kind of able to speak for himself. But when a non-white person or a person of color or just a woman speaks, they have to kind of speak for the community. And on one hand, like, that's not necessarily fair. I shouldn't have to speak for all Black people or all mixed race people because my ideas are my own. I can't speak for her next to me. She could be completely different. So I don't know, I guess that's kind of going out in a roundabout way that I think for me, the dimming of the light is more circumstance-based. Who was in the room? There's power in numbers. So I did always feel that if the room was more diverse, I was able to be more authentic. But sometimes you did have one way or another just in order to not have that fear of not being accepted. So, I don't know. I hope that answers it.
Totally. Did you both feel that your authenticity kind of drove your business? I guess I'm not asking that question right, but in order to be an entrepreneur, did you have to be authentic to yourself in order to do that, to branch out to do that? Or did the authenticity come after you branched the business?
I'll let you go. You're sounding really good right now. I want to keep you on the roll.
Okay, good. So I guess to kind of give a little bit about myself, I am highly an introvert, and I have a lot of social anxiety, which, is fine. But in the chef community, it's all about ego. It's all about, I am the best. I can do this the best. I have the best cooked this or that. My restaurant is the fullest. My food costs are this. My employees are treated like this. It's all about me, I. And expanding your career as an individual and not necessarily so much at the individual restaurant. We know Anthony Bourdain for him and his personality. We know Rachel Ray for them and their personality. So a lot of it kind of just had to fake it. I did feel I wasn't allowed to, even outside of the cultural perspective, be authentic, because if I was authentic and let's say, hey, I'm just a nerdy girl who likes superhero movies, you might not come eat my food. Like some people are just like that. Well, I don't vibe with that kind of thing. Or especially being a woman, if I gave off too much sensitivity or anything like that. It did feel a bit, you weren't allowed to be a person. And then especially when you step outside of that restaurant, if I run into someone at a grocery store or somewhere where I'm just trying to be low key in my sweats and flip flops, I have to turn on the personality, and it's exhausting. It's exhausting to never be off, because especially as an entrepreneur, you're always also on call 24/7. Oh, the power just went out at your restaurant and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, or a drunk guy just puked all in your flower bed and you need to go clean it up before, all of that comes up, people come in for the day. It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. And I'm sure, Naquitah has some maybe different but similar examples of that, but being on all the time it's a lot.
I 100% agree with that. I, believe it or not, am also very introverted.
Wow, I would have never guessed this about either one of you.
Look, I like to define myself as a extroverted introvert because I really do prefer to kind of have a small circle of people or really just be with myself. When I'm out, when I'm with clients, contractors, I don't know, vendors, etc., there is the need to be on. Now, obviously, that doesn't mean that I have to go out here and be somebody that I'm not. I am typically, very outgoing or bubbly, etc. That's just my personality, even though I am introverted. I started my business with the intent to really focus on authenticity because, again, being a teacher, etc., I can't say that I ran into issues, at least as a teacher. I taught in Title I schools in terms of not being able to be myself. I really would say when I ran into being uncomfortable or having to feel uncomfortable about being who I am, was really more so out in the professional world, especially when you're around other people, even of different classes. Like if we're talking about people who are much wealthier, people who come from, or sometimes even just white people in general, there is a level of otherness that you'll experience when you're in those spaces because I'm not just a Black woman. I am a Black woman who is very colorful, who's very excitable. I'm constantly in like tons of prints. I design the same way, prints and colors and patterns. I have a very exuberant personality, so I tend to draw a lot of attention. It's not always wanted attention, and that attention is not always good attention. Sometimes people are like, oh, of course she walked in here looking all ethnic, and it's kind of like, well, what else am I supposed to look like? I'm Black.
Right.
Know? And then my family is Caribbean, and like, what's wrong with me being me? So I started my business with the expectation of myself that I don't give a flying F who likes what, who doesn't like it. I'm going to be me. If you don't like it, oh, well, that's your problem. It's not easy to walk out here being authentic in these spaces, in these realms, because like I said, there's lots of judgment. People, especially on the internet, people are not nice on the internet. They're not nice in person either, but people really place a lot of judgments and assumptions and biases on you. And again, luckily, because I am the way I am, I'm going to make sure that you are not going to leave this conversation with your same level of ignorance. But it does, like I said, it does pose a challenge. I can understand why anyone would succumb to being uncomfortable or succumb to wanting to change or adjust themselves when they're around people. It really takes a different level of I don't give a damn and bravery to really, really be yourself with this level of pressure around.
Do either of you have any regrets about being businesswoman?
No, I wouldn't have it any other way.
Okay, that's good to hear.
Yeah, definitely. I have always been a person who dances to the beat of her own drum, very much a free spirit. And so being a businesswoman or a business owner really allows me to stand true in that. I don't have anyone to answer to but myself. Right. Yeah, my clients, I got to answer to them too. But
sure,
the beautiful thing about running a business that operates truly in authenticity is that when people are attracted to me, when people do come to hire me, they already know who I am. They want that. This is what they want in their, you know, in their work environment. This is who they want to collaborate with. This is who they would like to help them to kind of bring out their own beauty within their homes. Or nowadays, it seems I'm also getting phone calls for personal styling. I got to be like, wait a minute, I'm not a stylist, people. Wait a minute.
Maybe that's just a new area. Just given all of the trials and tribulations of being an entrepreneur and being a woman of color entrepreneur, do you have any regrets in being a business owner?
Regrets? No. I don't regret anything I did, but I definitely have wishes, things that I wish maybe I did a little bit differently. Because I think ultimately things probably happened as they should. Especially right now, I do not regret not being in the restaurant business during COVID. That sounds like an absolute nightmare. You know, I do wish, to be honest, I do wish I was a bit more authentic. And I do wish, you know, I kind of let my personality show. I tend to be a bit timid, things like that. And, you know, I'll tell you right now, I'm looking up to Naquitah and everything that she's talking about, putting people in this and that.
Me too.
I don't have the balls sometimes. And it's speaking from a racial perspective, it is so disheartening when I've had situations where I've had bosses who see me as a white person and say incredibly racial remarks to me. Not necessarily about me, about other people. And then having to go through the dilemma of, well, if I tell, am I going to lose my job? If I don't tell, am I letting down an entire community of people who are depending on these situations of moments like these where I need to say something, where, you know, Naquitah is just over here like, I don't give a fuck. I'm just not, like, what the hesitation? No, we need to say it and we will address it and we will move on. Check, please. I wish I could do that. And I'm glad there's people with more strength than I have. So I do wish that I maybe had a bit more confidence in that way.
I have to say to that you do have yet. You just may have not walked into it yet. Speaking for myself, I'm quite a bit older than you. And when I was your age, I didn't have the confidence that I have now. I have had to also in my work life hear things from bosses that I wish that when I was younger, that I wish I would have said as a woman, where I would have said, hey, that's inappropriate. You don't get to talk about what my legs look like or what my hair looks like while I'm at work.
Agreed.
But when I was young, I didn't say anything either. And most of that was because I had children to feed. I congratulate you and you'll get there, Jess. You'll get there.
Absolutely.
Confidence comes with time.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Agreed. My whole life, literally, to get here. Okay, guys, like, literally my whole life. And it doesn't mean I don't, I'll still like struggle. Really, honestly, during these conversations when inappropriate things were said or even done, I just, like I said earlier, you got to breathe in Jesus for that strength. And also for the words, because sometimes these things are so hurtful and harmful that you want to shrink and cry, but you got to put your bad bitch cap on and just be like, no, sir, no, ma'am. Like, don't lose your mind over here. Don't do it.
It's interesting that you say that, because I always have this thing where if something, I know I need to say something, I have this thing where I slow down, I take a breath, and I kind of ask my grandfather who's passed on, I say, Grandpa, help me have the right words to say this in the right way, because I don't know what the words are. And then sometimes I just feel something flow from my mouth that's sort of magical. It's like, oh, thank you, Grandpa. I seriously do that. I know people might think that's a little nutty, but I call on my ancestors.
Yeah, you have to. You have to.
Absolutely, because people will try you. Okay,
all
they
day.
will try you out here, and
all day.
And they will feel very comfortable doing so. And I've even had some people who, will say what they have to say very boldly and will look at me sideways when I come out of my face to respond with whatever I need to say as a result of your ridiculousness. And you just kind of have to stand in your truth. Like, I don't care. I'm at the point in my life where I don't care if clients decide to fire me. I don't care if someone has an issue. I just don't care, because I've lived my whole life. I'm feeling like I've been under somebody else's foot. I've been the
Yes.
butt of other people's jokes and comments, and I'm over that. I don't care what I have to do, but I'm gonna make sure my voice is heard when I have the strength to, because sometimes there's a day where somebody says to me and I just don't even have the strength to address you that day. It was too hurtful. I need to go and lick my wounds in the corner and then come for your behind tomorrow. But today, right. I gotta like recuperate my like inner strength and self-confidence. But it takes time, and it's a journey. I just think it's a journey worth walking on. You know, again, as you know, I'm a believer in God, and the Lord said that we are to walk out here bold, bold, bold. I mean, everybody else is walking out here bold. They thought they were bold when they were running around saying whatever it is they said. So meeting them with the same level of boldness lets people understand I am really not the one to be played with, and please back yourself up.
I have to say, and just brought this up about looking up to Naquitah and being inspired by all of the things, Naquitah, that you're saying. And Jennifer, you brought up how things have changed over time. You know, your confidence grew over time. All of that to say that this is one of the reasons why Jennifer and I started this podcast and why we love doing this so very much. We get inspiration from so many people, and we want other people to have access to that same inspiration. I don't know about y'all, but I have to hear that inspiration all the time. I have to reinvigorate my own confidence seemingly every day, sometimes multiple times a day.
Yes.
Jennifer and I are older than you and our Justin, Naquitah, but we are still walking that same path. We are still engaging our confidence and trying to strengthen it every day, getting inspiration from everybody. This is the sort of mentorship and representation that makes me incredibly happy. Thank you to both of you for being out there, not just for representations for little versions of yourselves, but also for adult versions of yourselves
For us,
who are a little bit older.
Aww.
Yeah.
What kind of advice do either of you have for young women of color who want to pursue their own business opportunities?
That's a hard one. 'Cause first off, in the culinary world, it's just hard in general. I think just kind of embodying everything we already talked about, just be true to yourself. You know, if you want to be a Black woman coming up, making a restaurant, cooking collard greens and soul food, that's great. If you want to be a Black woman coming up with biscotti and coffee and, you know, crumpets, that is fabulous. Just be authentic. Have people in your corner that can support you, that you can lean on, that are your shoulders to cry on, and that can pick you back. Have those ancestors, as Jennifer is talking about, that you can reach out to in that ethereal sense to give you that strength from another place that you can't get on this world. And it's a loaded question because it's hard, because there's just a lot less advantages. There's a lot less, I don't know, it's just so hard to put into words. I just think just be you, girl, be authentic, and you got this, you know? Just try, just keep going until you can't go anymore, and then go past that.
Oh, that's great advice.
I agree with that 100%. The only thing I would really add to that is not to make yourself an enemy. There are plenty of those outside. And so whatever you need to do, whatever you need to listen to, whatever sort of hobbies you need to get into, stress relievers, whatever, to help purify your mind, because oftentimes, especially as Black women, we hear so much negativity outside of us that we start to internalize that in our minds, and then we make ourselves an enemy. We talk about our bodies, we talk about our skin, we talk about our hair. We're concerned about literally every little thing that God has blessed us with, and we don't need to become our own enemy, because it's that inner enemy, that inner like small negative talk or large negative talk, depending on the person, you know what I'm saying? That's going to really keep you from doing exactly what just said. Not being comfortable being yourself, not being authentic. That it's that voice inside that you've internalized, that lie, the lies that you're telling yourself, that's keeping you from going out there and being great. If you want to live a bold life, even if you're an introverted person, being yourself as a Black woman in America is bold in itself. Okay.
Yep. It's almost revolutionary.
That is a statement. And you know what? We were born to make that statement. Okay. Black women are God's gifts to earth, period. I don't care what nobody else says. Period. Full stop. God's gift to earth. And so remember that, because there is one job that God gave you, and that's to be you. There's nobody else in this world who is better suited for that role. Going out there boldly and authentically yourself is the best fuck you can give to the entire naysayers on the planet.
Wow.
Oh my God, that was beautiful.
Yes.
Woo.
That's it.
All right.
Oh,
Okay. The last thing I want to know, what is the joy of being a Black woman entrepreneur in the United States of America? How does it bring you joy?
Well, for me, it's getting to show up as myself. I like to play in colors and patterns. And so like the joy of being able to do what I like to do, the freedom of being myself is really not only inspiring and motivating to myself, but it's also inspiring and motivating to other people. Just last year, I used to have very, very, very long hair, and I just cut it all off. I don't want it anymore, you know? I'm free, y'all. I'm not going back. But the joy of being able to do what I want, how I want, show up to and be myself, whoever I feel she is and me is at that time, is really the joys of it. Being able to, I could stop in the supermarket, the gym, anywhere, and people are always like, gosh, this is a great outfit, or wow, I really like your hair, or, you know, there is something about you when you walk past. And I'm like, listen, you are feeling confidence. You know,
You are exuding it. Yeah.
I appreciate it. It took us a long time to get here. You are feeling the favor of God, because it is truly God that gets me through the days. It's such a joy to wake up and just be me.
Raquel, you
Yes.
are an aspiring Black woman entrepreneur. Where do you get your joy?
I get my joy from listening to other, specifically Black women business owners, who are doing not the exact same thing that I want to do, but who
Yeah.
have achieved that feeling that I can just be me. I am giving my gifts. It gives me that strength and that confidence to know I can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And as Naquitah, I think you said this, who am I not to, or some version of this, who am I not to share the talents that I have?
Yep.
You know? So honestly, this conversation today has been everything for me, because I have been just vacillating in my confidence lately about starting, or not starting, but restarting my coaching business. I tell you, I'm getting all kinds of inspiration from all of you women right now on the screen. I'm taking this all very much to heart. And that's where the joy is for me, and the joy of being able to dream it and know that the dream is going to happen.
Exactly.
Awesome. Jess, where's the joy?
The joy for me, to be honest, I love just being multicultural. I love having curly hair and olive skin,
Yes.
thick thighs and big lips, and I love being able to flow in and out of places, and you don't know what I am, and I'm just whatever I want to be, and I'm just, dancing along, living my life, and making people question is a bit fun. And as long as everything is done in good intent and good spirit, challenging people's prejudice, I guess, is also, it's weird to say that it's joy, but there's satisfaction in knowing that, wow, you really had a disdain for this type of demographic, and you know what, I'm still going to be nice to you. And eventually you come around and be like, you know, I guess my eyes are a bit opened. Or, you know what, even I guess a woman can cook. I guess a woman can own a business. I guess a woman can hang out in the boys club, you know, because that's what kitchens are 1,000,000%. It's
Yeah.
It's all going to be dick jokes. It's all going to be,
yeah.
You're going to have sweat in places that they do not have sweat. You're going to need to step off when they don't need to step off because you've got to take care of you. You're going to be looking a certain type of way that is not societarily appropriate for a woman to look. You're going to sweat. You're going to stink, all that stuff. And just challenging all of that is so terrifying, but so gratifying.
I love hearing all of this joy. This is just, man, I've just got the biggest grin on my face. For people who aren't watching us on our YouTube channel, I am grinning from the inside from this conversation. So thank you, ladies. This is fantastic. Thank you for the work that y'all are doing and being examples for the rest of us, not just the little versions of us, but the grown-up versions of us. Thank you for doing the work that you're doing.
Let me tell the 5 things real quick that I found online that they said are the issues for women of color who want to go into business. And then we'll just say goodbye because I think it's important to understand. So these are the 5 main challenges according to them. Biases in the business world, lack of representation, networking challenges, lack of mentorship, and lack of access to capital and funding. And I think we talked about all of them except maybe capital and funding. So this is real. That makes you 2 heroes for starting your own businesses and being representation for others. Y'all are amazing.
Thank you.
If I could just say one thing before we close. Everybody, do what you can to support small business, to support women-owned
100%.
businesses, to support minority-owned businesses, because you're not just affecting that one business owner. As we have already talked about, you're impacting so many more people than you think you are. You're impacting all the little kids that look up to that business owner. You're impacting the grown-ups who look up to that business owner. You're helping that business owner to continue what they're doing. You're supporting
families instead of corporations.
Exactly.
Families, people that live in our community. This is a huge issue. I'm glad you brought that up. Thank you, Raquel.
You're welcome.
Any final words, Naquitah, before we say goodbye?
Well, I guess I'll say thank you all for joining us. Thank you for giving us a space to be able to tell our truths out here. You know, my motto in life is to live your truth, LYV. And I really hope that you'll invite us again to chat more, not even just about our businesses, just about really anything, topics for women, topics for business, topics for, Black issues or Black success, Black joy, whatever it is. I would love to be able to be a part of your podcast again. It's such a great opportunity to again get my voice heard, and to hear other people's voices as well.
Thank you.
Any final words, Jess, before we say goodbye?
Yeah, same. I would love to do this again. I'm so grateful to you guys for thinking of me and inviting me to come on. I don't know. I love Naquitah and having this vibe right now. Oh girl, I would love to get into a whole colorism or anything like that. Just kind of, that's a whole nother thing. So yes, if there's in the future, please feel free to reach out. And I love both, Jennifer and Raquel, your perspectives as well. And thank you for being so kind.
Yeah.
It was our joy. I mean, you guys brought us a lot of joy today, for sure.
I'm glad. I'm glad.
Bye, ladies.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone, for listening today. We will be back with more Madness Cafe next week. You can find us on Instagram at Madness Cafe Podcast or email us at madnesscafepodcast@gmail.com. Bye.